Hey everyone, welcome to Tattoo Spotlight, Tales from the Tattoo Chair, where we'll be talking about the tattoo culture and all things tattoo related. I'm your host, Rhonda Marsh, owner of Southern Draw Tattoo in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and this is my co-host, JD Dixon, owner of Psychotic Ink in Clearwater Beach, Florida. We are podcasting from the Southern Draw Podcast Studio in the heart of the beautiful Smoky Mountains of Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, located just downstairs from Southern Draw Tattoo. First, I'd like to say thanks for watching our first podcast. This podcast will be for tattooers and tattoo enthusiasts alike. We will be spotlighting all kinds of tattoo artists from all over, picking their brain on various tattoo topics, showcasing their work, where you can locate them, and discussing their stories about their wildest tattoos, craziest tattoos, most memorable tattoos, and the stories that they have behind that. The life of being a tattooer and everything that goes with it. We will also be discussing various topics such as different types of products, like numbing creams for starters, the pros and cons of using numbing creams. What do you think about numbing creams, JD? Is it for everybody?
Not really. Some people have trouble with it. It's hard to tell. You always want to kind of test things out before you jump completely in. Been a lot of people talking about some people having reactions. So, different things are kind of tell signs that somebody might have a reaction to it.
There's been a lot of controversy on the rise about it.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people talking about it. And I, for one, am a pro numbing cream. Just saying for myself, like, I've earned my war badge. I've got 2 full sleeves, 2 leg sleeves. Like, I'm getting older. I don't really feel like I need to earn the pain badge, where a lot of tattooers are like, "No, you've got to earn the pain." And I'm kinda like, "Meh." I did.
Been there, done that.
So, but I do realize that it's not for everybody, and you have to watch, how long that you have it on and stuff. So I'm hoping in future podcasts that we can talk to some numbing cream companies about this.
Some of them, I know some of them kind of distort the skin. A lot of guys don't like that, especially if you're trying to do anything with a lot of fine detail. And for me personally, I don't know if it's a small tattoo, grit your teeth and tough it out. It ain't that bad. If that's the worst pain you ever go through, you're doing amazing.
We'll also be discussing medications, like what would be good and not good for you to get a tattoo. Well, really not good for you to get a tattoo while you're on them, and why.
Like crack's horrible to get tattooed on.
Yeah. Don't come in
or to tattoo on. Either one.
Yeah. Don't come in while you're on crack. And tattooers don't use crack while tattooing.
Like, was that cartoon? I want a skull. All right. Little Harry the Potter it is. No, I said a skull. Right on. You're going to love this Harry Potter.
Well, I know that there is some antibiotics and some steroids that, and like stuff like Accutane. So, there's some medications that are not good to get a tattoo while you're on.
A lot of anything that would affect your healing process is one of the big things you got to watch for.
Yeah. Like if somebody's diabetic.
Yeah. I always first thing I always tell everybody is call your doctor. Talk to a doctor, tell them what you're wanting to do, all that. They know where you're at on it, especially like any type of blood thinners or anything like that. You have to check in advance.
Yes. We're also going to be talking about different skin types, why skin types are so detrimental on how a tattoo looks on one person and not another,
Oh,
why some inks look brighter in certain skin types than others.
oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I had a guy one time, kind of a uh, lighter Spanish complexion. Took color amazing. I couldn't believe how well he took the color. I mean, it was like the color tattoo jackpot. And he comes in a few days later, and he's like, "Hey man, my friends are giving me shit. Can you dull that down?" It's like, what? It's like, dude, you're one in a million, and you want me to dull that down? I was like, ah,
No way.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
Was he serious?
oh yeah, oh yeah. His friends is giving him shit because a lot of I don't know the PC word to put it, but a lot of your Vato style art, uh,
West Coast.
it's more black and gray. It's more subdued.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, man, he was getting roasted by his boys for having this bright ass tattoo. So yeah, he wanted to knock that down a few shades.
Did you knock it down?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, yeah. I went in there and deepened up the tones.
Oh,
But
God.
yeah, it broke my heart. I was tearing up a little bit while I was doing it, but yeah, I held it together.
Well, that's good. That's good. So, and then when you get older, your skin gets thinner and more frail. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
hard when somebody comes in and they have like crepe skin. And I'm trying to
yeah.
tell them that their skin isn't that tattooable without
Oh,
hurting their feelings, that they're just
oh
getting
yeah,
old and that the skin will rip or blow out. Like it's, you know,
yeah, yeah. You don't want
it's
to
a
drop that
detriment.
bomb on somebody, even though they know it.
They don't know it. That's the thing is they
I've
don't know it.
told them, and you just get that look, and you're like, oh, jeez, you
They
didn't just wake up like 90 years old, did you? Like, man, this took a
well,
while.
speaking of the ink, that leads to the different variations and brands of ink. Like what ingredients are really in ink? Why do some people have allergic reactions to certain pigments and what makes certain pigments better than others?
Oh yeah. So sometimes you don't want to look behind the curtain, though.
Some people are getting educated and they actually come in and ask me, "Do you use this certain brand of ink? Or do
Yeah.
you
Oh
have
yeah.
this certain brand of ink?" So,
Yeah.
um,
The
that's
vegan.
good.
Do you have vegan ink? I love that one.
Do you have glow in the dark ink?
Oh my god. Yeah. I remember there was a company. It's been years and years ago. They're in the ink wars, and this company came out, and their claim to fame was, "We're so pure, just pure. It's nothing but pigment and water, just pigment and water." And yeah, biggest piece of shit I ever got my hands on. That thing, man. Shit.
No glycerin, huh?
Oh my god, you couldn't even hammer that stuff into the skin. It was horrible, and yeah, it didn't last. It didn't last. I actually talked to a couple people that was using it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, man, this stuff works great." I looked up some of their stuff, and I was like, "Dude, you are so lying to yourself." So, Jesus.
Hey,
But
we're also gonna
yeah,
talk about ways a tattoo can get infected and what to do when a tattoo becomes infected, like all the no-nos, after getting a tattoo that can avoid such infections from occurring.
oh man, yeah, just Don't let your dog lick on it.
Oh, dogs
That's
like
that's
everything. Come on.
yeah, yeah. Oh, they smell blood, so they go after it. They know it's a wound, so they start looking at it, and between the wound and the ointment you're putting on there, oh yeah, it's like a
You know,
smorgasbord
they
for
say
'em.
that a dog's mouth is like the cleanest mouth.
Yeah, that's to them. It's
That-
like it's clean to them, not after they done washed out like 6 buttholes.
we all know that's a myth, but really, that's what they do say. Is
Their leg all up. Let me lick on your leg. No. I actually had a customer come in. She was like, "Yeah, man, yeah, I'm having such a hard time. It's healing so rough." And we look at it, and you could literally see dog hair sticking out of the scabbing, and it's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Well, I quit putting stuff on there, and it's like, "Well, yeah, you probably should clean that dog hair off of it too." Jeez, Pete, man. Wash that turd, would you?
well, I've had people come in, and since we're in the tourist area of Pigeon Forge, and we say, do not go in a hot tub because, so many cabin rentals have hot tubs. And I
Uh,
had a couple come in and they were like, yeah, our tattoo was red yesterday, but now it's orange. It turned into a light orange overnight. And I'm like, you told me yesterday when I was tattooing you that you had a hot tub. And what did I tell you? Do not go in the hot tub. Did you go in the hot tub? Oh, no, we didn't go into the hot tub. And I'm like, yeah, all the chlorine right there on your skin. Yeah. Your
uh,
tattoo isn't going to go from red to a light orange and overnight, you know. So,
well, they see any kind of healing as a lightning. People think the colors
but
completely
this I'm
change.
talking about within less than a 24-hour period. They were,
Uh,
so, people don't listen. Like, if you notice when
oh
you're giving
no,
aftercare
no.
instructions, they are not listening to a word you're saying. They are so distracted, and, that's why we give them the aftercare sheet. Of course, our aftercare sheet is to be honest, it's like aftercare for dummies because it's like day 1, day 2 and 3, day 4.
Oh
You
yeah, yeah.
cannot get it wrong. If you get it wrong, then you really are a dummy. Like, you
Oh
can't
yeah.
get it wrong. So, wanna also
Oh,
talk
you'll be
about
surprised though. I mean, somebody's going to go all off the reservation and get all crazy with it. Never fails.
what else are we
Uh,
gonna talk about, JD?
we're going to be talking about some machines, all different brands and types. The guys that are loyal to the coil and the ones that just love their rotary machines. I think it's a pretty split kind of thing. You get the loyal to the coil, hardcore, and then the newer guys that never seen a coil unless they tripped over it walking into a real shop. Uh,
That's great.
well, to me, it's a little disheartening on some stuff, and I mean this will play into some of the other things we're going to be talking about. But there's so many of these. Oh God, I hate saying it, but some of these younger guys coming into the business. Uh, I've met so many never even touched a coil machine, and to me that's just it's sad. It's sad. I mean
Yeah,
that's
because that's our history of tattooing.
exactly. I mean that's a part of you as a tattoo artist,
Yes.
and to not know what it is, what it does, and not even be able to use it. I mean that's a crime. Whoever caught them should be smacked. I mean that's a shame, whether you use it or not.
Well, there's a lot of brands of both. So,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
that'll be interesting to see because when rotary machines first came out, there was only like a couple, and now there's like Tons.
Oh yeah. Well, and they refined them too. I remember when they first came out. I I thought I was getting carpal tunnel, and it turned out I had some nerve damage in my arm from the military. And a friend of mine was like, he's like, man, have you tried some of these rotary machines? And I'm like, no, no, I just, I'm totally straight. And he's like, no, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It was a joke. But he was like, yeah, it makes it so much easier on your hand. And yeah, it did. It did. But, I just couldn't outline with them at first. So I remember all I used was coils to do all my line work and everything like that. And then I would grab a rotary machine and, do some of the fill in and shading and all. And that worked good. But yeah, yeah, it took me a while to completely go to the dark side, but I
Welcome
did.
to the dark side.
Yeah. And
Uh,
then the air machines.
oh, the pneumatics.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Those were that was my introduction to rotary machines.
Oh, mine was
Was the Numas.
Neotat.
My Numa.
Numa.
Oh
Yeah.
man, Carson Hill. Great design. But that was the loudest thing I ever heard in my life. I mean, it was like a plane taking off.
Because it was ran by an air compressor.
Oh yeah, yeah. I built a cabinet for mine, and it's insulated and everything, and you could still hear that thing just shaking. And then as soon as I'd fire that machine up, that the customer just kind of look over like, "What the hell?" Yeah, buckle up, buddy.
I've never even seen one of those in person.
Oh
Like,
man,
no.
oh man.
And I know
Yeah.
that, like, some shops ran tubing through
Oh yeah,
each of the
the
rooms, the
entire shop.
sections.
Oh
Yeah, the
yeah,
entire
yeah.
shop so
One
that
guy, one guy I met, he had a compressor outside of his shop
yeah.
that ran into it, which was great for the noise, but it didn't do anything for the noise of the machines. And then, my worst experience, real quick, and we'll move on. I tried to take it to a convention. Biggest mistake I ever made because I had to hump this heavy ass compressor, and you had to use a special compressor because the CFMs had to be specifics. And so I hooked this thing up, and a guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, that's going to be like another $75." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, we have to run a special line just to that, so it can power up." I was like, "Holy shit, uh, okay." And he's like, "Well, the only reason I say it, the last convention we did, there was a guy at the front of the line who had a compressor, and everybody on that wall was on the same line. Well, as soon as his compressor kicked on, boom, shut them all down. And everybody's in the middle of tattooing." He said, "Man, they were ready to just roast that guy, man." So they ended up having to reroute it and everything. I was like,
Put your
"Ooh,
hand over here again and you'll pull back a nub.
I know." Yeah, sitting all close.
Okay, so speaking of tattoo conventions, I also want to discuss what you can expect to see out of a tattoo conventions. The big shows versus the small shows, the difference in how conventions used to be and how they are ran now. That's a biggie.
Oh, yeah. Well, it used to be kind of simple. You had shows you went to just to make money, and then you had shows you went to rub elbows and see your friends.
Yeah.
And now it's a little more like an ego push. Some
Well,
of them. I mean, and I'm not bashing any of them. There's some great.
hey, speaking of that, do you remember when we were working a tattoo convention and the guy at the end of our row took out all his trophies from the last show he worked at and put them on his table.
Yeah. He, he had like, what was it, like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it wasn't his last show. It was like the last 2 or 3 shows he went to. He got like a couple of tattoo of the day, and he got like a small black and gray, and something else. I mean, it wasn't anything like amazing. But yeah, you're walking down the thing, and it's like, what the hell? They already give out trophies. The show just started, and he had like 5 or 6 of them just set out on his table. Like,
yeah,
oh,
I remember that, going to the host of that show and being like, "Oh, I remember all the tattooers
oh
working
yeah,
that show were
yeah.
just pissed. They
Well,
were like, "This
he
is
was,
disgraceful to the host. It's
yeah.
very disrespectful to him, and
Oh, they
who
kind of
are
roasted
you
him.
who are you to put your trophies on the table,
Yeah, it's
from
like, dude,
another show?"
you're in
That's,
here
like,
with a lot of
unheard of.
professionals. Uh,
That's unheard of. Like, for me, as many tattoo conventions as I've worked, like, that was the
yeah,
one thing I had never ever seen at a
yeah,
tattoo
yeah.
convention.
Yeah, to this day, that's the only time I ever seen somebody do that.
So, he deserved the
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh,
smackdown.
they roasted him pretty good, man. There
Yeah,
was
they
quite a
did.
few artists talking shit to him. So,
And
hey,
he also was told to take his trophies off of
living,
the table.
live and learn, live and learn.
Uh, he got roasted pretty good. So, and also at tattoo conventions, I wanna there's also so many different styles of tattooing, so many variations,
Oh yeah, yeah. The categories now, there's all kinds of
like,
categories of
realism
stuff.
and hyperrealism. Before
Oh
there was
yeah,
realism, now there's hyperrealism,
oh yeah.
portrait work,
And then there's like, holy shit, that's really a tattoo.
yeah, and then there's, like, traditional, and now there's neo-traditional.
Oh yeah. Everybody wants to have a specialty per se, and i- if you draw kind of like a certain style, but you're not totally into that style. No, now you want to label your own, because I'm not traditional and I'm not illustrative. I'm kind of in the middle, so I'm a kind of this.
You're a
It's like
neo-traditional.
okay, man, whatever. You're just doing a modern version of that. Okay, cool.
Okay, so,
The
black and gray, color. Do you remember when old school, and new school was a thing?
oh
Like, new
yeah,
school was my ultimate favorite thing to do
yeah,
back when I was really working a lot of tattoo conventions. New school was, very exaggerated
oh
and,
yeah.
I
I used to love doing that.
bold lines and really high color and, uh, really made a statement.
Yeah,
One of my new favorite things to do is trash polka.
right.
I love
I
trash
know
polka.
I like it, but I never like really got into it. I mean, it's cool.
I love the abstract between black and red, and then
Yeah.
usually, like, the fonts
Well, it's
of
such a huge
words.
contrast and a bold
Yeah,
contrast,
it's a very and it's good for cover-ups, really good for
Oh
cover-ups.
yeah, well,
Another thing
it's all
trending a
black.
lot right now is minimalism.
Oh yeah.
Is like, I know artists that are just minimalistic artists, and they have such a huge following.
Oh yeah, yeah. There was a tattoo artist I was watching a while back, and that's what his prediction was, that this was the next year or two was going to be just minimalist heaven. And I get it. I mean, uh,
More
I'm not.
people want smalls.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hugely behind it. To me, there's a limit to small. I see some of these micro tattoos and stuff, and yeah, it's amazing you were able to pull that off. But how good is it? How long is it good for? And that kind of goes back to the skin thing, good skin versus bad skin. they have to cherry pick those people, the ones that's going to be able to hold that for any amount of time. Because I've seen somebody, oh well, this is 5 years old and it looks awesome. Yeah, look at your buddy next to you though. You know, you can't even make that out. It looks like Willie Nelson. It's like it's supposed to be Marilyn
Willie
Monroe.
Nelson.
It's like, yeah, my Marilyn
It
Monroe.
looks like a
Oh,
braid off of Willie Nelson.
yeah, yeah. It's like supposed to be Marilyn Monroe. Well, so much for the micro stuff, huh? But yeah, so some people can hold it, some people can't, and the majority can't. So it's like, if I tell you, all right, I'm going to sell you this new car, and as soon as you drive off the lot, it's going to go to shit. Still want to buy it? Hell yeah. Okay, let's do it. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like, some people just don't care.
Well, there's a lot of trending tattoos. Like most people, we're a custom shop, and even though we are in a tourist area, we pride ourselves on being a custom shop. But most people, I would say 90% of people come in with something already ready on their phone that they
Oh
want.
yeah, yeah. Well,
So,
that's another subject that'd be cool to talk about is Flash. Like, do you even still use Flash? Do you even still display much Flash? I
well, I
remember.
see more and more tattooers, remember Cherry Creek was like a huge
Oh,
thing. Like,
oh my
oh my
God.
gosh, the money that I have made
Uh,
off of Cherry Creek and like if you had one brand of flash and that was
yeah,
it in your shop, it was Cherry
yeah.
Creek.
Oh yeah.
But now I see artists making their own flash and putting it up in their shop. So I
Well,
think that's cool too.
it,
Like,
it was well, it was kind of like that for a while, depending on the shop you went into.
yeah,
There was Art Flash, and then there was just Moneymaker Flash,
yeah.
and Cherry Creek was the Moneymaker Flash.
Yeah, but
The other the other
it was
stuff
good
looked
work.
awesome,
I mean, Rand
Oh
Johnson did a
yeah.
great job.
Oh man, I had a hard time remembering what people used to get before Cherry Creek came out. It was like, I think people used to get
Well,
mailers
like, if
and
you got to do a
stuff.
tattoo that
Oh yeah.
wasn't Cherry Creek, like, that was awesome.
Oh yeah.
You were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, wow. I get
Yeah.
to do this. I don't have to do this
You
tribal and an
look at the
eagle head
person like
again."
they really knew something. Oh,
Yeah.
you're awesome. You're an awesome client.
Well, I also want to talk about thoughts on reproducing someone else's work. Or, like I said, people come in with tattoos on their phone, and oftentimes it's a tattoo that's already been done.
Oh yeah.
And, how some tattooers view it as stealing,
Yeah.
while some see anything online as a free for all.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I've seen people online kind of going at it back and forth, and I get it. I mean, I pretty much most of my career I drew everything I tattooed,
Yeah,
and
now I personally won't reproduce someone else's tattoo, and I'll just tell them like, "Look, I just have integrity for the artist that did this, but
yeah,
I can do something similar," where
yeah,
I've seen other artists out there go, "Don't matter to me. If
yeah.
it's online, then
Well,
it's a
it's
free
like
for all."
I try to push them into, well, I can draw you up a variation of that,
Yeah.
and it would be even cooler to you, because it's just yours. You're not wearing the one that guy's got. You're wearing the one that was made just for you, but it's along the same line, just different. And
Uh,
most people go for it,
do you
but
know that, Kat Von D was sued for doing a portrait of a photograph?
yeah,
It was the photographer that took
yeah,
the photograph, that she did the portrait of that sued her, and I was just like, I forget who the
yeah,
tattoo was of, like,
yeah.
what was it, like, Bob
Uh,
Marley or something like that? I
I
can't
don't
remember,
know.
but I don't think that they won because I think they saw enough variation or something
Well,
between.
not just that, but I mean, in a situation like that, that's being used as a reference of a actual thing. So it's not like this guy created Bob Marley and then was like, "Hey, why'd you tattoo him on there?" Yeah, well, because it's Bob Marley. I
And
mean,
I mean, I might be wrong. I don't know if it was Bob Marley.
yeah,
It was
yeah. Well, I
somebody,
mean, I was
but
just using that as a
um,
for instance, but yeah, it was a reference. It wasn't like I don't know. I think stuff like that, they're just really pushing it. They're kind of over glamorizing whatever it is they did. You know, use
yeah.
my photo. Ooh, okay, you're amazing. Add all your pictures.
Another thing that's really on the rise is permanent makeup. Um, having there's so many people that I mean, I've done permanent makeup, for like 30 years. And also do traditional tattooing. That's my favorite thing to do, but permanent makeup just kind of fell into place for me. But having realistic expectations on how long certain procedures will last, how far it's come, trends that should not be used in this line of work and
Yeah.
why. One of my favorite things to do is to do areola restoration for cancer patients.
We'll have to see if we can seek her out. There's a girl that I read a story on, tattoo artist, and she travels around shop to shop all over the place, and that's a huge part of what she does. And yeah, she's highly sought after for it, and she's been doing it for like years. So
Well, I used
I
to
think
work
that's
for a plastic
really
surgeon's
cool.
office, and so, they would after their reconstruction, and they would have to get their areolas, tattooed back on, and back then, insurance did not cover it. They saw it as cosmetic, but now
Yeah.
insurance companies do cover it. So I'll do it and then write them a receipt, and they're able to get reimbursed, which I think is really cool.
I I did it a couple times. I've done it, and one time, this lady was like, "Man, I really wished I would have known you did this like 6 8 months ago." She said, "I work at a doctor's office, and lady had the mastectomy and all that, and the doctor told it." Now this was after they could actually get away with charging their insurance for it, and the doctor was like, "Hey, I can put areolas on there for you." And the lady's like, "Really?" He's, "Yeah, yeah." And she was like, "I felt so bad for this lady." She said because the doctor literally got some kind of
Tattoo kit.
kit, yeah, and tattooed these big red dots on
Ugh,
her chest.
I've seen it.
And she was like, they weren't even round. She said they were just these
Yeah.
roundish shapes.
Doctor, stay in your lane.
Yeah, and she was like, "I felt so horrible." She said the lady was kind of happy because it was, like, better than nothing, but I was like, "Man, that dude needs to be just
I wouldn't have been kinda happy. I'd just
kind of a gut punch,"
do
and
nothing.
it's like,
Hey,
you gotta
another
filter
thing,
that, farm it out.
is, there's scar camouflage work and hair dotting. I mean, that is a thing. That's a
Oh, yeah.
real
Oh,
thing
yeah.
for balding men.
Yeah.
That just I mean, in Beverly Hills, they are charging $10,000 to do little bitty dots on a balding man's scalp, so it looks like a hair pour, and they
Yeah.
chose to shave their head bald.
Like they got a 1:15 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, and you wonder, like,
It's not even at
okay,
3 o'clock. It's 1:15. It's
well,
starting to come back out, but.
how how is it gonna heal? Is it going to, it's gonna lighten up over time, like, if they ever go
Oh
out in the
yeah.
sun one time without wearing a hat, you can forget about it.
So they're
Um,
technically
then
balding
they go
again,
bald again.
just fading out in patches everywhere. Not just the Friar Tuck, buddy. Now you
Oh
got
my
that
god.
Dalmatian going on.
God help the guy that gets, like somebody does it, with black ink, and then it turns like that bluish black,
Oh
and then
yeah.
they have,
Well, then
like,
he's just
navy blue dots.
kind of a
Oh
punk rock feel to it, you know.
my and then there's microblading versus traditional machine methods, and so I'd like to talk about that as well. Um,
See,
so,
I don't know anything about that.
yeah, I know a
Yeah.
few things about that. So we will discuss that. Hey, here's some good news. You want to hear some good news?
What's that?
Stereotyping. We are not the minority anymore. We're the majority.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
We
mean,
are. We're the majority now.
it's
Like,
kind of hard to find any group of people that there isn't at least a few tattooed ones in there, you know.
yeah, and I want to talk about how this came to be. I mean, I know how it came to be,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's
oh yeah,
the tattoo
Every,
TV
yeah.
shows.
Everybody does, but they don't like saying it.
Yeah, they started, like, watching, tattoo TV shows, and they didn't have to go into a tattoo studio, and so the studio came into their living room,
Yeah,
basically, and
yeah.
they were like, "Oh, wow," and then all of a sudden you seen the tattoos just taking off,
Oh yeah,
because then everybody got to see these cool things that were being done, and they were like, "Oh, I want a tattoo. Oh, I want a tattoo."
yeah. Well,
And so
then all the crazy stuff started happening. Though people
yeah.
started coming in, giving you all these crazy things, and I remember one of the big ones. I was talking to some other artists at a show one time, and it was like we all had the same story of people coming in and being like, "Hey, man, I want like this whole forearm piece here. Uh, what like 20 minutes, man? Come back and you have it ready." And it's like, hell yeah, dude. Let's
Sure.
do that Sistine Chapel, man. Just give me like 10 minutes to draw.
Yeah, like, they actually called me to interview for LA Ink. A good buddy of mine was like, they were looking for 2 females, and since I was one of the first, female tattooers, like, even going to a convention, I remember walking into a convention and guys looking at me like, "What is she doing here?" Because it was a man's world. It wasn't for girls. And so I had to earn my respect there, but I auditioned for LA Ink, and I remember when I auditioned for that, um, I just said, like, "Listen, I'm all about the tattoos, I'm not about the drama. I know this is pretty scripted stuff, but if this is what this show is going to be about, then, yeah, don't pick me. I'm not the person because I own a
Yeah.
tattoo shop." So like Aubrey, the floor girl, fired first day, you know?
Well, I think that was the whole purpose of that, though, because from what I understood, the one that created a couple of the tattoo shows, they didn't even have a tattoo. It was like some soccer mom that was like, "Hey, you know what? Make a good show," and yeah, it took off.
Yeah.
So it wasn't for a lot of people. Oh my gosh,
Well,
I remember
people
on the
ask me all the
one.
time, "Do you watch this show?" And I'm like, "No, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
go home and watch work with drama. I
yeah,
try to keep our shop very drama free. I don't wanna go home." And one show I do like, it was Tattoo Nightmares because there wasn't any drama. They were doing cover-ups and showing
yeah,
and they were supportive of each other. They'd be like, "Hey, man, great cover-up. That's really good," They weren't like,
yeah.
"Oh, so and so's doing drugs in the bathroom. Hurry, go see."
Right. Do you smell that? Can you smell that coming
See?
out of there?
That crack's coming back.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh, I actually had a guy do that. I had
so
the world's worst employee.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we had a friend of the shop actually come in, and we were talking one day, and he goes, "Hey, you know that guy you hired?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You know he smokes crack, right?" I was like, "What? Get out of here." He goes, "No, I seen him out back." He's like, "I used to smoke crack, so I know what it smells like." Oh, oh, okay. That kind of stand out, I guess, too.
Say no to crack, people.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, sure shit. We ended up finding out dude was doing it. And
Um,
yeah,
Another thing
he got out of
that
there quick fast.
I want to talk about is COVID and how it affected the tattoo industry. With the loss of businesses, and some people open new businesses, a lot of shops shut down for months at a time. I know we did. And so, yeah, I'd like to talk about, pre-COVID and post-COVID,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
it has affected our industry.
Well, being from Florida, we kind of handled it a little different,
Well, they were very
but
strict on us.
yeah, other places it was pretty insane, and I don't. I probably have an unpopular opinion of some of it, and I mean I'm not talking about COVID itself, but about tattooists
Yeah.
uh, after COVID. Um, yeah, I think there was a lot of egos built due to COVID, and yeah, they're not giving it up. They're sticking to it. Because you see people all the time coming in going, "Oh, I was going to go to this guy, but yeah, he's booked for like 3 months." And it's like, dude, I know that guy. He does like 4 tattoos a week. What do you mean he's
We couldn't
booked?
tattoo fast enough,
It's
but
like, yeah,
we
yeah.
had we had a very strict protocol. Like our floor girl would have to go out to their car, take their temperature, let them fill out the form. Um, then they could come in. They had to hit this hand sanitizer station, wear a mask. Everything was by appointment only. We could only be open from 12 to 8, and we could not tattoo fast enough. Like, we were so busy. We
Oh,
were
yeah.
busy when
Yeah.
COVID hit. We had to
Yeah.
cancel I don't know how many appointments.
I
But
was I was up here when that happened.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
after COVID,
Because
I
they were talking
mean,
about shutting down the highway, and I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to get home? It's like,
and what pissed me off really about well, you know what? I'm gonna save that story for when we talk about COVID
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's too
Oh,
long to
there,
go into now.
yeah, that's a deep subject.
Um, what about apprenticeships?
Oh, another one,
Yeah,
another deep
I'd
subject.
like to do like a roundtable discussion with
Oh
other
yeah,
artists
yeah, yeah.
about coming together with their opinions on the topic of apprenticeships.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely. Because I mean, it is so widespread different. I
it's
mean,
so different. I
you
mean,
you hear everything from the really cool story that the guy learned a ton and he loves his mentor, to the guy that had to clean up dog shit for every storefront on that block and wash everybody's car, and
and
the
clean the
list
grout
goes
with a
on.
toothbrush.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's like,
clean the
oh man,
toilets
I
with a
remember
toothbrush.
a guy I knew. He was like,
There was
yeah,
a lot of toothbrushing involved.
he said the lady that was teaching him, he had to get there at like it was like 6 in the morning because her whole shop was full of flowers, and most of them was real, a lot of them were fake, and he had to go through and clean every leaf, and she wanted it done with milk because milk was so much better for the flower. And so he had to take a little rag and he'd wipe off the leaf. He'd go to the next one, wipe off the leaf. I was like, oh man, she'd have had just a bunch of stems in that bitch if that was me.
Well, you know why.
I took every leaf off of them.
You
Yeah,
know,
there you go. Look at that.
and and
They're off.
I'd like to get Dino Cook involved in this roundtable discussion because his apprenticeship story is a very Karate Kid story. Okay. So, like, why do we have to do this? And a lot of times they make them do that because to teach them patience. That's what they say anyway, is to teach you.
Yeah,
If you're not patient enough to do this, then you're not patient enough to tattoo.
yeah. I had a
And
really weird. Well, yeah, it's a long story, but yeah, I technically didn't have an apprenticeship.
there's a lot of artists back in the day that were self-taught.
Oh,
So,
yeah, yeah.
we're gonna
Well,
talk about all of that.
yeah, yeah.
And there's a lot of,
Like I said, it's a long story, a lot to it, but, yeah,
there's a lot of, paying apprenticeships and versus free apprenticeships.
yeah.
So, which kind of leads us into the next area, which is the oversaturation of shops.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Well, I think you would have had oversaturation whether everybody was trying to do apprenticeships or not. Everybody and their brother wants to have a shop and do everything, and a lot of people don't realize what goes into owning a shop because they think, oh man, everybody just makes a killing. And it's like, yeah, there's a few guys that have shops out there that are cleaning it up, man. They're wrecking it. But then there's the other ones that they pay their bills and keep the doors open, and they're happy with that. And I don't know. It just
there's a lot of supply now,
it's so
and
varied.
not enough demand. Like where here, I think there's like 20 shops in Sevier County, which is
Oh yeah.
crazy. So, so you have to do something that makes you different than everybody else.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
something that, like, the supply versus the demand, and there's way more artists, uh,
oh yeah,
than shops. So, but I'm pretty picky.
yeah,
I mean, I am. I run a little tight ship, but it works
yeah,
because we don't have
yeah.
any middle of the line artists. Like we either have good artists or we're not going to have artists. And so
Well,
there's just kind of your middle of the lane shops. There's some really like kind of nasty shops, and you wonder like how the health department has overlooked this or overlooked
oh
that.
yeah,
And I'm not talking about here specifically, I'm talking about everywhere.
oh
Like,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
been on vacation and walked in some shops just to check them out, and I'm like, "God dang, I feel like I need to go home and take a bath."
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I've seen some that, like, well, like
And
some have like a shit ton of shops, shit ton,
yeah,
and it's like, okay, yeah. So
there's a shop
you
here
gotta you got
locally that
you gotta
has
own
3
all
shops
those.
in the same
Oh,
town.
that's nothing. That's
Yeah,
nothing.
so
I know some that's got quadruple of that. And I always looked at it like in any given area, there's a percentage and it's a scale. And anywhere you go, there's that one guy that just kills it, man. He is at the pinnacle of his game. And then you got that guy way at the bottom. And it's a steady decline from good, eh, you get into the bottom of the barrel. So when you have that many shops in an area, who are you putting in there? I
I
mean,
know because
there's only
there's
so
an
many.
oversaturation of
Yeah,
artists.
because there's only so many really killer artists in an area, and then it starts declining. And
Mhm.
when you have that many chairs, at some point, now you're just getting asses filling seats. That's it. That is it.
Yeah. And
And
there's a there and also wherever you're from, it's, booth rental. Like, now there's booth rental. It used to be a
oh yeah,
percentage. So, so those artists that pay booth rental, a lot of them are like, "Hey, I'm my own boss. Like,
oh
I'm
yeah,
not working for you, I'm working for
yeah,
me, but you're still under the same umbrella, and you're like, "Hey, yeah, you still are representing my shop."
yeah.
And should there be a cap on how many shops can be in town?
I know, and now you're getting into like touchy stuff,
Yeah, I'm gonna get into some
because
touchy-feely stuff. I don't
a
care.
lot, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, who are you to say, there can only be this many?" Because I remember a guy back in the day, he was talking about going around to shops and actually like working with the city to shut some of them down because they were total scratches, you know. And a friend of ours, we were all talking about, it, and he's like, "Well, dude, who are you to say that to him?" You know, because at one time all you needed was a business license. Boom, you're a tattoo shop. And he was like, "Dude, there's no way you're gonna be able to legitimately walk into a shop and be like, 'Hey, you suck, get out.'" Which
Well,
would
no,
be
but
awesome. It would be awesome, but yeah, it's like you just can't do it, you know?
yeah, well, I don't know. Gallenberg here has grandfathered one shop on the
Yeah,
parkway, and everything else cannot be on the main parkway.
yeah.
So that one guy, he gets all the business that's right there on the main
But
strip.
when you're talking in areas like that, you're looking at more of a tourism scenario,
Well,
you
Pigeon
know, and
Forges,
they
we're
don't want
right
people
outside of
seeing that,
Gatlinburg, and
you
they're
know?
just everywhere. They've
Yeah.
not zoned them. Sevierville is zoned out. That's where I started was in Sevierville, and they changed the zoning because a sex store moved in and put
Yeah.
us under a category of adult entertainment,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I fought really hard to get us out of that category, but then we got grandfathered into that location,
Yeah,
and
we got hit with that in Florida.
since I've moved out of that location, that's it, no more.
Yeah.
So, but then you got, a small location with 20 shops just back to back. Like I had a lady the other day that said, God, everywhere we turned our head, there was a shop, and I'm like,
Uh,
yeah, I personally think if there's a smaller business, um, a mom and pop type of business, I'm not talking about franchises, that maybe town should look on putting a cap on how many of those businesses are allowed so that those shops can thrive.
right, yeah, I mean, it's like, controlling animal populations in certain areas, like,
Yeah.
buddy of mine's a huge hunter, and he was telling me about how they work the deer, and once the deer get over a certain number, they'll issue out X amount of licenses, you go in there and clear out some of them, you know?
Well, it's kind of
And
like you and I talked about. You have a pie,
oh, yeah,
and you said, you
keep
cut
cutting it and keep
pieces.
cutting it.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, those pieces get cut in half, and those pieces get cut in
Yeah,
half, and
yeah,
then you can't make a good living
yeah.
anymore.
I
So
mean, well, there was a guy a buddy of mine was telling me about, and dude had, like, a shit ton of guys working for him. And he's like, "Oh, I take care of my people, I make sure they got this and got this and got that, blah, blah, blah." And it's like, yeah, you're doing these tattoo artists a huge favor as long as they're working for you. It's like, how about you back off of like the Humpteen shop you got? Let that guy have a shot. Let that guy go out and
yeah,
open up because
yeah, you have
he
4
could have.
shops in this area
Yeah,
within a
it's like
4 block radius.
Yeah, it's like, that guy could afford all that stuff you're giving him and then some if you just let him do his own thing. Why's he got to work for you to do that? So, yeah, it's the ones like that that just kind of, I don't know.
Okay, also, pricing tattoos. Why do artists price differently?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, quality,
Like, I get
you
I
know,
get so many people that come in and
if
they're
they got
like,
a bill to pay.
"My cousin can do it for a six-pack and a beer," and I'm like, "Well, go
Yeah,
get your cousin to do it. Why are you wasting my time?"
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I base my prices off of my experience and I've been tattooing for 35 years. I am not gonna give you an apprentice price, somebody who's been tattooing for a year
yeah,
or 2, and,
yeah.
and I don't say that egotistically, really. I
Oh,
say
yeah,
that
yeah,
because I know what I'm worth,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
and so if somebody's, this isn't flea market. tattoos. Like, did you see that that sign outside? Flea market tattoos.
Yeah. Hey, come on in for the deal.
So, another thing I want to talk about is the placement of tattoos. Why some areas on the body are better than others.
Oh yeah.
So many,
Everything fits a certain area depending on shape, size, all that.
and we kind of touched on that before about problematic areas when we were talking about minimalism. Um, why finger tattoos are trending, but not always such a great idea when you see them healed.
Yeah, yeah. That and the whole, it's for me craze. It's actually a
And
thing
why
now.
why
I
do
mean,
some artists get so pissed
uh,
if
I
they
mean,
have to tattoo a tattoo facing toward the client? Let's say
yeah,
a client comes in and they want an infinity symbol with 2 names, and they want to see their tattoo. They're not doing it for anybody else
yeah,
except for themselves, which I really like, that this is something they are doing for themselves. It's not for show, it's not for
yeah.
anybody else, but I have seen artists that have a real problem with
Oh yeah,
tattooing something that is upside down to them while they're tattooing it, and then
yeah.
just,
I used to be kind of away from it, but then the whole realization of it's their tattoo. I
it's for
mean,
them.
they're hiring me to make it look the way they want it. That's it. That's it.
Here's a good, for instance, Eric Newby, tattooed a huge portrait of Jesus on my thigh, and, I mean, it's awesome, and I look at it and I'm like, "Okay, I see hair, I see a face, but I don't see him looking back at me." And I thought to myself, "This is on my thigh. I normally wear jeans. I'm not really a shorts person, and I should have got it facing towards me so that when I look down, Jesus is looking at me." And
Got his eye on you the whole time. I'm watching you.
yeah,
I'm
it's like,
watching
"I
you.
saw that. I saw it."
Yeah.
And,
Be kind of weird in the bedroom. I mean,
I don't know, in the
you
bedroom
just
to
put a
somebody else,
blindfold on your leg,
to somebody else, he would be upside down. Like, to
put a
me,
tourniquet on him.
um, and
You don't want to see
we're
this, man.
we're talking about the Lord now, be careful. Um, but anyways, I wish that I would have got him facing towards me. So, like sometimes, when I was sitting there in my chair with, like my legs propped up on the ottoman and my knees are bent, that I'm looking down and I could see Jesus looking back at me. And and no, I didn't do that. And I didn't even think about it until after the tattoo was over. And
Uh,
and
I mean,
so,
I can
but
see
that
both
would have been
sides.
for me. That would have been just for me. So, yeah, so I wanna talk about some of that kinda stuff, and also, tattoo removal and the different types of removal out there. I mean, not every laser can remove certain colors of ink. There's chemical
Yeah.
removers, the
And
cost.
then there's also belt sanders. I actually met a guy that did that. It was a crazy story,
No,
and
you did
oh
not.
yeah, yeah. His brother, I was tattooing his brother, and he was like, "Show him," and he's like, "Oh man," and I'm like, "All right," so now I'm interested, And he lifts up his shirt, and he has like this quarter-inch hole in his
Oh,
arm, and I mean, it's pretty good
ew,
size.
ew.
And I was like, "Dude, what did you do?" And he goes, "Man," he said, "I caught my wife with my best friend." And he said, "I just lost it." He said, "I threw them out." And he said, "I went on a tirade." He said, "I was tearing up everything in the house." And he said, "I got like super, super drunk." And he said at some point, he said, I ended up in the garage. And he said, I was out there tearing up some of her shit. And he said, and I look over and there was a mirror there. And he said, I could see her name. And he said, the closest thing I could get my hands on was the belt sander I had laying on my workbench. And he said, man, I just tore into it. I was like, oh my
Mm,
God. And he goes, yeah.
sounds painful.
Oh, yeah. He said the next day when he woke up, he was in a recliner and he said he goes to move and he couldn't hardly move his arm. He's like, oh, and he looks over and he goes, dude, he said, my whole arm, side of the chair, everything's just covered in blood.
Did it work?
And oh yeah, that name and a few other things were gone. And he said that wasn't even the worst part. And I know what he was about to say because I did a little medical in the military. And he says, yeah, he said, when I went to the hospital, they had to debride it. And I'm like, oh, yeah. That's when
Yeah.
you get that little brush
Yeah.
and start hitting it, because he used sandpaper. So you got to get that
Yeah.
out of there.
Got that grit to it.
Oh, yeah. And so, yeah, they had to debride it. And he's like, oh, yeah. He said, I came unglued. He said, that was unreal.
Well, you have to laser tattoo removal has come a long way. There used
Yeah.
to be lasers that didn't work on certain colors, and now the cost is a little bit more effective and what you can expect. And my daughter's having her upper arm removed. She has a great tattoo there. She just does not. She's a new
Just
mother.
don't
She
want it.
just does not want a tattoo on her upper arm anymore, but she has other tattoos. And, so I'm asking her like, "Ooh, how I've seen it be done,
Yeah.
and it just looks like so excruciating." And I'm like, um, how are you dealing with this? Because you don't deal with pain very well." And she said, "Oh, it really, really hurts." And I was asking her how many sessions to take to remove it and stuff like that. But, there's lasers out there that are bad. They'll remove the tattoo, but it leaves like a scarification.
Yeah.
It
Well,
scars and it looks like a scarification of the tattoo that
it
was
definitely
there.
deforms the skin some. It's if
Yeah.
they get a little overzealous and, try to
And
get
I
rid of
and
too
I've
much
seen
respect.
laser tattoos that you couldn't even tell there was anything there,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, those are the ones they're a bit more expensive, because the person knows what they're doing, and they're using the proper laser.
Yeah.
For a long time, and you still see them every now and then. There's the ones like with everything else, they want to get on the bandwagon, and they're using, like, the hair removal lasers and
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
kind of
Oh, yeah.
low grade, like laser pointers and shit, to try and get rid of people's tattoos. And it was a money grab, is all it was, and they just tearing people up, not getting rid of shit. But yeah, if you go to somebody that's legit, yeah, it's pretty impressive of what they can do, but it just takes forever to do it.
Yeah, and a lot of lasers won't remove tattoo pigment that is not true tattoo pigment. Like if you go to jail and you get that teardrop on your face,
Oh,
it
yeah.
ain't coming off, because that's not what
Yeah.
we used to do a chemical removal here, and you tattooed it in the skin, and then it
I
would
remember
break up
that
all the
stuff.
pigment,
Yeah.
and then it would push it to the surface of the skin, and you would tell them, let it scab, don't
Yeah.
touch it, don't get it wet." And it worked.
Well,
I
you
mean,
wanna
it
do the
worked.
opposite of taking care of it,
Yeah,
you
it
wanna
really did work, but they
jack it
made the
up.
laws here, like, you have to be a physician to remove a tattoo, even if it was a chemical remover. So, we
Yeah.
had to stop doing it, and I had quite a large clientele, but it would not remove pigment that was not pure pigment. It would not. It wouldn't even hardly touch it.
Yeah. Well, certain stuff, I mean, some people use anything to, put a
So,
tattoo in their
but there
skin,
is the option of a cover up. If you don't wanna get your tattoo lasered,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
um, cover-ups, what makes for a good cover-up and what doesn't. There's so
Yeah,
many people I mean, I love doing cover-ups. I've done a bunch of cover-ups, and
yeah.
I've won an award for cover-ups, and, what never fails to see somebody come in that has a cover-up of a cover-up of a
Oh, yeah,
cover-up.
yeah.
And I'm like,
It's
why didn't this first artist realize that this was not gonna make for a good cover-up?
yeah, like you said earlier, somebody staying in their lane. I mean, not every tattoo artist is a cover-up artist. I mean, it's a completely different way of tattooing. You have to approach it differently. You have to look at it differently. Um, and some people just have a hard time with that. They don't understand their colors. They don't understand hues, tones, all that.
Opaques.
And yeah, I mean, it all comes into play. Warm and cold and all that. And uh, yeah, it aggravates the shit out of me when I see somebody come in and they're like, "Yeah, I got this cover up." And it's like, "Dude, you didn't get a cover up. You got another tattoo. They just happen to be in the same place." It's like, shit, they didn't
You
cover
got 2
nothing.
tattoos in the same place.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was up here one time when a girl came in and she showed me her tattoo, and I felt so bad for the girl because the tattoo they put over it made the old one stand out even
Yeah,
more. And
yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, "That's a joke."
Well, there's some people that have came to me and they want a cover-up, and the tattoo is, too deep, so it's raised.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
will tell them what they can do to go home and exfoliate, 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 and
Yeah.
chop down that scar tissue where it starts sloughing off and sloughing off and sloughing off to get it,
Yeah.
flat again, and then proceeding with the cover up, because if I do a cover up, I can do a good cover up, but if your other tattoo is raised, you're gonna
Oh,
see the
yeah.
raised version of
Yeah,
that tattoo
well,
that's underneath
it's
it.
just like, people doing the whole blackout sleeve thing and all that, if
Yes.
they have, uh, tattoos that are scarred underneath that,
Mhm.
you're still gonna see the outline. I mean, it's a scar now is all it is. I mean,
Yeah,
but
and
it's still
blackouts,
there, which I think's pretty
blackout
damn funny.
tattoos are so
Ah,
trending right
oh, yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah, I
and
just it ain't me. It ain't for me. I just can't. You can't really ration it to me because I just don't see it.
yeah.
I think it's silly, and I don't know. It's just it's not my thing. I'm not
Yeah,
into it. Somebody else might be. Hey, man,
we're definitely gonna talk about that because
whatever. But not me. I
wanna
just
black out their a whole arm
oh yeah,
and then go in with white and do different designs, and they don't realize how many sessions of white. Like, when you first do a
yeah.
white, it's gonna look gray, like a dark
Oh
gray,
yeah,
and you're gonna have
yeah.
to keep piling on that white to really just,
Well, you see some of
you know.
the extreme, like,
Yeah.
there's a guy, I think he's out of the UK, and, I mean, he is literally covered head to toe. I mean, he's had the operations to shave his ears, his nose, teeth turned into fangs,
Fangs.
and, I mean, the whole thing, and I just saw a picture a while back of him, and he had gotten a bunch of fresh stuff done. And when you got right up on it and really looked, you could kind of make out what it was. But that's only going to last so long, man. Now it looks like somebody, like a school of pygmies attacked you with Sharpies and just held you down and went off scribbling shit all over you. It's like, yeah, yeah, it's cool for a little while. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. But yeah, yeah, it's like, dude, as soon as that shit fades, man, you're gonna be disappointed. You're not. I
Yeah,
don't see how you can be happy with the outcome. I mean, I don't know. But like I said, each to their own. It's not my thing. Somebody else might
Well, we're gonna talk to
freaking
some
love it.
people that it is their thing
Yeah,
and
yeah.
see why it's their
I'd
thing.
love to get a couple of those people, in here to talk to them. We're online to talk to them because I'd love to know what it kind of drove them to where they're at with it. I mean, some of them look cool. I've seen a few of them that it looks awesome. I remember one of the ones that was hot when I was kind of coming into it. It was Enigma. I mean,
Yeah.
the puzzle piece. I
See,
mean,
I never
everybody knew him.
yeah,
I
everybody
mean,
knows him.
yeah. I mean, he just he was one of the first I think that was kind of popularized like that.
Yes. And, Rick Guinness, Zombie Boy,
Yeah, yeah.
the guy that was,
Yep,
tattooed,
yep,
like a skull from his head to his toe, but
yep.
he was done, amazingly.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I love
yeah.
Zombie Boy. Like, whoever I know his
I
artist
can't I can't
is in
remember
Canada,
who did
and,
his work, but yeah.
it was a tattooer and where he's from in Canada, and I couldn't imagine getting the symmetry right
Yeah.
on him. I mean, you had to make sure one side of the face was exactly the same
Oh
as
yeah,
the other
yeah.
side of the face, but he got
It's
very
right on the
popular,
face. You don't wanna mess that up.
he got very popular with Lady Gaga kind of brought him on the scene in the Born This Way, video that she did, and then he
And
became,
then he was
uh,
in, one of
uh
the Pirates of the Caribbean movies too, wasn't
or
he?
no, he was in, Ronin 47. He had like a
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
tiny part in that, but yet they used him for a
Yeah,
poster
yeah.
because he's so cool looking, and then
I thought
you
he
watch the movie, and then you
he
blink, and
might
he's, like, gone,
I
he's
thought he
there
was
on a boat,
in
and then he
one
was
of the
gone.
pirate movies.
No,
Maybe
it
I'm
was
thinking of
on it
something else.
he was on a ship. Yeah, he was on a ship, but,
Yeah.
no, but, I
I can't
mean,
remember.
he actually became a model for a Mugler in Paris, and, he was he passed away at the height of his career,
Yeah,
and, that's so sad, but I
yeah,
have dressed up as him for Halloween, and it took about 6 hours just to do my face and my hands to look just like his, and, nobody knew who I was when I was out. I mean, it was, like, by far my favorite Halloween costume, and I went to a studio and had professional pictures made, and those people were just blown away,
yeah.
and
I remember
it
seeing
was
those.
spot on. It was spot on for him, but, he, and a lot of people go, "Oh, you compare Enigma and then, Rico the zombie," and I always thought he was beautiful because he was so well done.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's
And
ones like I said, there's ones that it looks cool, would I do it? No way in hell.
no, no,
But,
no, when I was,
I
like,
think some
talking
of it
about
looks
him,
cool, but, uh,
my mom was like, "If you ever bring somebody home that looks like that," and, of course, me and my daughter were like, "Oh, he's so cool looking,"
well,
he's
that's it, judging the book by the cover,
but
you know?
he also he was on, Sephora. He has commercials, and you can look them up on YouTube, and they covered all of his tattoos,
Oh, yeah,
and he
yeah,
looked like a normal person, and I remember saying to my piercer at that time, "I wonder what he looked like before all the tattoos,"
yeah,
and, because there wasn't any pictures of him anywhere, and then, I get to the shop, and Logan's like, "Hey, hey, hey, there's this new commercial, and it's called Beyond the Cover."
yeah.
And they totally take this makeup and
It
cover
was,
all of his
yeah.
tattoos, and he looks at himself in the mirror, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't like it,"
Oh, yeah,
like, because
yeah,
he really likes the way that he looks, and so but it was, just to show you that this,
yeah.
base can
Makeup,
cover up makeup can
yeah,
cover up tattoos, which, is a good thing because a lot of people, they get married and, go to certain events, maybe they don't want their tattoos showing, you
yeah.
know?
Well, they've done that to a few of them that are, fully covered like that, and,
Yeah.
I remember seeing a little clip of one, and man, I think it was a chick, and, she was kinda pissed. She was like, "I gotta get this off. I gotta get this off." She's like, "No, no." And oh man, I guess she had just been tattooed for so long like that that yeah, she didn't want no part of that clean look, and she was a beautiful
Well, you
girl.
know, I remember when tattoos, when we're kind of, I'm going to revisit that, we're the majority now. I kind of liked being the minority, like
Oh yeah,
being
yeah,
the different person, being the chick with all the tattoos and the sleeve, and nobody else had like a sleeve.
yeah.
Like I kind of miss those days. I do.
Oh yeah,
I kind of
oh
miss
yeah.
them. So,
Well, that was I don't want to say that was one of my big pushes into getting into tattooing, but it's where I felt comfortable because my whole life I was kind of
yeah, I was
felt
different.
like I was outside the norm per se, kind of.
I was definitely that girl
I didn't like
growing
playing
up.
by the rules. I didn't like going along with whatever, and yeah, that was my outlet. It was because I'm sure we'll hit more on it about the whole lifestyle thing, but
Yes.
yeah, like I always tell people, I'm like, man, as soon as you meet a tattoo artist, you know if they're bullshit or if they're legit. You pick it out immediately. And I always told any of the guys that ever worked for me or any of the guys that ever taught anything, I was like, right off the bat if somebody has sold their soul. If you haven't sold your soul to tattooing, it shows. You just, I don't want to say a poser, but yeah, it ain't there. The ones that have fully, that's life. It's not a lifestyle. That's life.
I forget my tattoos are even there anymore. Like I've had
Oh
them for
yeah,
so long. I've been sleeved for so long. It's just like, oh, I really like your sleeve, and you're like, oh yeah, I got a sleeve.
yeah. Yeah. You're like, what's it? Oh shit! I
Oh
forgot that
yeah,
was there. Woo.
right
All
on.
right.
I want to also talk about the different aftercare, like the Sanoderm wraps,
Mhm.
ointments, lotions, dry healing. Because all bodies heal differently.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember. Oh my god. Uh, I was literally talking to a doctor one time, and I was kind of picking his brain on some stuff. And he told me he was like, "Well, you can just rub butter on that, right?" I'm like, "What? You jacking with me, right?" And he's like, "No, no." He's like, "You can rub butter on that." He said, "It's gonna heal. Might not heal well, but it's gonna heal because you."
All I could think about is like Fabio, that Fabio commercial with the spray. I can't believe it's not butter. And then he
Yeah,
goes, spray. But only he would have like a bunch of tattoos on him. That would be the ultimate
yeah.
aftercare commercial for butter.
Rub it in,
Now we make it in a spray. You don't
smells
have
like
to
a
spread
cookout.
it on.
But yeah, it made sense the more I thought about it because he was like, he said, your body's job is to heal. That's its sole purpose in life is to protect you and heal. And he said,
That's why so
so,
many tattooers like Sanoderm, because
yeah,
it's your own blood and your own plasma healing the tattoo for the first 48 to 72 hours
yeah.
that your body leaks the tattoo is leaky in that stage,
And
and they
I,
allow it to rest on the tattoo. Now the con to that is there are people that are allergic to the adhesive,
yeah,
and so it's not for everybody, but that's how I like to heal. Like,
yeah,
I like
well, you're
that
always
it's
going to run into somebody that
not gonna stick to my sheets and my
isn't
clothes
going
and
to
and all that,
work
but,
with it.
that's that's a really good example of how your body heals itself.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, hey, I also wanna talk about tattoo forms.
Oh
Oh
man,
my god, there's so
yeah.
many tattoo forms, like, good and bad.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
tattooers, I wanna know why you are so ruthless in the tattoo forms. I mean,
I think
you could post the best tattoo,
oh, yeah,
and
somebody's
they
gonna rip it
will
apart.
shred it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Like, you talk about keyboard warriors, and they will argue on there all day long,
oh,
all
yeah.
day long. Like, you read
Yeah.
their argument, you'd be like, They had that meme, the guy, I'm just here for the comments, eating the
Yeah,
popcorn, like
that's me. I
that's
just
me
sitting there
too.
reading stuff,
Like,
going, "Oh, that's
you know.
great. That's
Now
great."
I'm also that person that if somebody's like really, being on there legit, like asking something really legit,
Right.
I'm not gonna tear them apart for wanting more knowledge. They're turning to their peers
Yeah.
to ask for something and their peers are just ripping them apart. I'll
Well,
be like, "Hey, um, sorry you asked this in a forum that is full of
yeah.
savages, but
I mean, you gotta take the heat to get the answer. You know what I mean? It's like somebody's gonna
maybe
give you the correct answer, but you gotta catch a little shit with it, you know?
maybe you should have put the nose in the center and not to the right a little bit." Uh, so, but I want to talk about them. There's so many. There's that one
Oh, yeah.
there's like tattoo shop talk, tattoo owners talk. There's one that's called F Your Critique.
Yeah.
I mean, there
Oh, some people ask for it, though. I mean,
I mean, there's some that's
I
like
don't know.
beginners helping beginners,
Yeah.
scratchers helping scratchers, and I'm like, that's like the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
Like just there's a lot of tattoo forms, and so yeah, definitely.
Well, I always compare it to, what was that thing where they sing and, uh, they try out, for the show of singing?
Oh, like
Uh,
America's Got Talent or
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
The
yeah.
Voice or
Yeah.
American Idol.
Always compare it to that because they'll post up something and they are so proud of that. Oh man, they are so proud. And the first person's like, "Ah, yeah, what kind of turd is that? What? What do you mean?" And it's like, dude, come on. You can't look at that and know the butthole goes over there and not there. Come on.
Like the
And
monkey that's bent over and it says
it,
aloha and the
yeah,
butthole's like the
yeah,
O.
on his foot, Come on, man, you know it don't go down there. But it's like those singers, that, "Well, my mom thinks I sing great." And it's like, "Hey,
Well,
your mom's deaf. Come on."
well, just going into the tattoo forms
She's
is like,
lying to you.
you are signing up to go down the rabbit's hole.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And hey, here's the thing. Shaving off a deceased person's tattoo to
Uh-huh.
display it.
Uh-huh.
That's really a thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They actually I just saw a commercial for that. And
Really?
yeah,
Where?
which I was really surprised because I don't keep up with all the laws, Uh, but there was an old tattooist back in the day. He was broke and couldn't figure out how to make any money. So he started selling his tattoos. He started auctioning off his tattoos.
Get out.
And they did a couple of them as examples. So they went to a doctor and literally had them shaved off like skin grafted. And they put them in these little jars and sold them. Well, they ended up being in contact and they were like, "Hey, cease and desist, man. You are done." That's
That's really morbid.
Yeah, well, they were like, "That's dealing in human flesh, illegal as hell. You cannot do it." Well, then fast forward, I see this commercial and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can take your loved one's skin and taxidermy them right up, and what it is, it's this kit and they send it to the uh the autopsy,
Yeah,
they send it to
a
that
medical
doctor.
examiner or something like
Yeah,
that.
they send this kit to them and it tells them everything to do. It gives them, I guess, the bags to put the skin in
Yeah,
and all
surely
this.
there has to be
And they
formaldehyde, like,
well
involved
and
in
they said
this.
there's a video that
Oh.
this video tells them exactly how to
Oh, we have
excise
to
the
find that
tattoo.
video.
And I was like, "Dude, please tell me it's on YouTube and somebody
Yes.
can find it." I was like, the sick side of me just wants to see it so bad. But yeah,
It's
yeah, so
the
it's
sick
actually a
side of me.
thing. And, yeah, I just can't. There was a guy who had a
Ew.
famous tattoo back in the day, and one of the magazines was doing an interview with his son because the guy had passed away. And I don't want to go into like who he was and all because he's probably still alive and he'd want to fight me or something. I don't know. But anyway, he had his dad's tattoos removed because he had this whole front chest and arm piece and a back and arm piece.
Okay, please tell
kinda
me
went
that
together.
he didn't have it sewn onto him.
No, he
Okay,
didn't sew it
cool.
onto him, well, like a jacket or something.
Be like a
But
Buffalo Bill
when
thing.
you're right, put the lotion on, put the lotion on.
It
And
puts the lotion on its skin or
yeah.
else it gets tattooed again.
Would you do me?
I
But
do.
he so he invites him into his living room and bam, right there on the wall above the fireplace is dad. And
Oh,
I was
that's
just
just
like,
gross.
oh geez. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. You gotta be kidding. And yeah, there was the front and back of his dad just
Ew.
hanging on the
Ew. Ew.
wall.
Ew. Ew.
Yeah, I was just like, ah, dude, man, that is not a route I would suggest going at all.
Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
then, but what was it? Asian. Uh, the family actually gets money for that. Some of
Well,
these
it's like
guys.
an honor there or something, isn't it?
Well, what they would
Or
do
tradition?
if they were fully covered, some of it would be honorable, and then others they would auction their skin, sell it, and these guys would pay big money, especially if they were fully covered. They
Gives
would
me the bubble
pay
guts.
well, they would pay big money for that, and what they would do is skin them and literally
Like
stuff them.
display them like a
Yeah,
like a bear rug
like they're standing there, all posed out,
nailed to
and
the wall.
the money they would get would help their family. So when they did pass,
No,
the family would get a little money and it would pay for, whatever services the family needed at the time and all that.
that's just truly disgusting. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
I mean, that goes way back, way back. But yeah, the new modern stuff, I think it's just weird.
so let's kind of wrap this up here. This is just a little bit of what we will be discussing to perk your interest. And if you would like to hear about something specific, feel free to leave it in the comment section. If you're an artist and you would like to be on our podcast as a guest, feel free to drop us an email with your information and how we can contact you. And we'd also like to see your work. So you can do that at tales from the tattooed chair at gmail.com.
And if you got a really crappy one, you could send it to the other page,
Which is the same
which
email.
gonna kind of be roasting a few of them, giving our opinion, which I'm
That's
full of
right.
opinion.
We're going to have a second podcast. In addition to the podcast, we'll be spotlighting tattooers, but we're going to have a second podcast on this channel, same channel, called Tattoo Smackdown. And that's where we are going to show you horrific tattoos.
Gonna roast.
We're going to just roast the shit out of
I'm gonna be so pissed if I see one of my tattoos.
yeah, I'm going. I'm going to do that just for shits and giggles, like not let you know. To have our producer David just throw up like a tattoo you've done, you'd be like,
I'm gonna start slamming it. I did that to myself once before for real. Had a guy come in the shop, man. He had a tattoo from when I first started, and this was many years later after I got okay. And dude comes in, he shows me this tattoo, and he's like, "Hey man, what do you think you could do with that?" And I'm just getting ready to say, "Oh, who did that piece of shit?" Before I even got it out of my mouth, I'm like, "Who?" And he goes, "You did." And I'm like,
Oh, good thing I didn't finish all that. Right on, man. Hey, way to hold color. All right,
Hey,
man.
sit down. We got a session to do.
Yeah. It's like,
So,
guess who's getting tattooed for
yeah,
free?
so
All
we're gonna
right.
show you, like, like some really bad portraits, I think is our first episode,
Yeah.
and we're gonna show you what a good portrait is supposed to look like, and then we're gonna show you some
Yeah.
really, really awful stuff, and then
There are
that's when
some
you're gonna see us
amazing artists
get
out there. I mean,
ruthless.
there's way more of the shitty ones, but there are some amazing tattooists out there.
There are, but there are more bad tattoos
Oh
that
yeah.
I
Oh
see
yeah.
on a
Yeah.
daily basis than bad tattoos,
Oh yeah.
and a lot of people don't even
Definitely.
realize that their tattoo is bad.
Well,
That's
see,
what surprises me. It's like
you're
they'll
going
come
back
in
to the
and they're
American
so
Idol
proud.
thing, What?
They're so proud of this tattoo, and
What?
I'm going,
I
"Oh,
thought
it's
he did a
so
great job. And it's like, dude,
It's so bad. And so,
she
yes,
ain't supposed to
stay
be
tuned
cross-eyed, is she?
into this channel right here, and you're going to see Tattoo Smackdown. That will be hilarious. It's going to be so much fun. I just can't wait for that to happen. If you are watching us on YouTube, drop us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you would like to see more of. And
hit that like and subscribe.
like and subscribe if you are on.
Helps out the channel when you give us the thumbs up.
Give us a thumbs up, and on Spotify,
Even if you don't like me,
hit that
thumb up
follow button on Spotify. And until next time, I'm Rhonda Marsh,
I'm JD.
and we will see you soon.